I was a dispatcher for 11 years, and that really kind of became my identity. It made me feel like a badass. It made me feel um, like I worked with cops, and that was just the best thing ever. And um, it just sort of helped me. I worked for a county rather than a city, and it was kind of country, and I'm kind of country sometimes. It just felt like home, and then it didn't one day, and so I've sold, mostly been in sales most of my life, except the dispatching for 11 years, and um, I can't even think where I was after that. I don't know. I've gone, back and forth through jobs, but they don't really say anything about me. Um, I do a lot of art. I watch a lot of politics. I watch TikTok like it's going out of style. I I am trying to make myself be a kind person who watches out for other people, who cares about other people, that that backs up what she says with action, or action I can do. I mean, I'm get older I get, the harder it is, but I can do the things like make phone calls and write letters and all that. So that's deconstructing my Christianism that I was a Christian for a whole bunch of years, and then deconstructing racism in my own self and in my own brain and heart. That's Those are the things that I want my identity to be based in:
Mm.
fairness and kindness and decency and love and charity and all that stuff.
You said a few interesting things, and you said that you wanted to be kind, and it sounded like this is something that you're moving into next to deconstructing Christianity and racism. So I just want to pull back just a little to understand, did Christianity teach you kindness? Did you feel like you were kind at one point, or did you have a different view of what kindness was growing up as a Christian?
Well, I knew I knew in my gut that the church really only helped members. Like, I knew that it didn't do work with the homeless. I knew that all that sort of stuff from the 70s, and where people would go out, and people, Christians, churches would go out and they would have special events like give people clothes, or feed them, or any of that. And I knew the church that I or the group that I was with, the faith that I had, they did not go out and do those things. They did help their members, but and I always wanted help from them, and I was a member with some, and I because I was always looking for something to fill me, to fill that God-shaped hole, um, and because I thought it had to be filled. So I realized that I was missing something, and I thought I could find it in the church. And I tried. I'm telling you, I tried so desperately. I would go to pastors, I would go to yoga classes, I would go to anybody who was in charge of anything. I went to them because I just knew somebody would have the answer for me.
Mm.
And nobody did. Nobody, not the church, not anybody. And so I found myself really drawn to a group um, of Jews for Jesus, and I started moving. Except it wasn't Jews for Jesus; it was Jesus for Jews, kind of. And so it was a cult where we did uh, we practiced Judaism but believed in Jesus, which you can't do if you practice Judaism, because Judaism is the religion that doesn't think that Jesus was the Son of God in any special way other than our way, right? Just being a human. Um, anyway, so that that being in a cult lasted probably about 5 years, and then I started deconstructing that, and then I became I went from Jew for Jesus to trying to practice Judaism completely. I talked to rabbis. I read the Torah, all that stuff. We did that for in that group for about 4 to 5 years, and then that quit. It quit making me feel better, and so I have just spent since that time, which was, um, gosh, that was I guess back in the late '90s. Um, I I just let it go. I let go of everything. I just decided I'm just going to be a an agnostic. And once I became an agnostic, I began to be interested in things like, um, or would allow myself to watch lots of science fiction. I've always been interested in it. Lots of science fiction, lots of like science shows. Um, and so I've eventually found Neil deGrasse Tyson doing his science stuff that he always does. And I just sort of fell in love with the idea that we are all linked, that we all come from the stars. We have in us all the atoms and that are in the sun and the stars that are billions of miles away are in us, that we're all made of that. And that began to move me more toward why are people treated differently because they're not white. I mean, because history will show you if you look, I'm preaching to the choir, that Black people have invented so many things that we use that if you were to say, I don't like Black people, I'm not going to use anything that they did, you wouldn't be able to survive. You would die. So finding those things out, beginning to learn um, the science of being a human and the psychological and psychiatric things that issues that push us toward one thing or another.